it later if you have to leave early. We will send out the YouTube link after this call. So my name is Sarah Pierce, and I am the Housing and Energy Affordability Program Coordinator at the Metropolitan Housing Coalition. I oversee our EveryHome program, which seeks to include affordable housing in the affordable utilities in the affordable housing conversation. And today on the call, we are talking about summer weatherization and tips for staying cool with Project Warm. And we have Chris Clements here with us. He is with Project Warm. And I will send out his bio afterwards because I am joining from my phone. But he is here to talk to us today about weatherization, which is something that can really affect somebody's utility bill when it comes to these really hot days that we've been having here in Kentucky, these heat waves that I'm sure are driving up everybody's utility bills. So he has some tips and tricks for us today on how to keep our homes cool and our energy bills low. I will go ahead and pass it over to Chris, and thank you so much for joining. One last thing, if you have any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand, and we will have a Q&A session after the call.
All
So I will
right.
turn it over to Chris.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And also thank you, Tony, for stepping in. You always have a way of making sure everything runs smoothly. And huge thank you to both of them. MHC is a wonderful place, dear to my heart. For so many of you all may not know, my first job out of college was working at New Directions Housing Corporation, and I got to know MHC extremely well. They were run by, at that time, Susie Post, who is certainly a remarkable matriarch of MHC, and I was blessed to work with her and Joe Gleasoner for years. So thank you, Tony and Sarah, and also thank you for all of you all for being patient with me. We were supposed to do this webinar a couple weeks ago, but unfortunately, many of y'all may have heard, my daughter is battling cancer. She has leukemia. And that the day before this webinar took off, she went into the hospital and was there almost 2 weeks. So that kind of threw a monkey wrench at my family's life, and we had to kind of handle that. But I do appreciate everyone's patience. But as you can tell, the summer is still here. The temperature's hot, it's humid. And the first day of fall is not till like September 20th. So we've got a good solid month. And I think Mother Nature and summer's letting us know that it is not over yet. So this session is still very timely. And I think a lot of the things that we'll be sharing with you today will be very practical, not only for cooling tips and tricks, as Sarah pointed out, but also as we leave the summer season, we'll be going into fall and winter, and we'll be talking and focusing on more of weatherization, in particular as the cooler winter season comes upon us. But for those who don't know about Project Warm, I'm just going to say a little bit about Project Warm. I'll make sure everybody knows who we are and how long we've been around and everything like that. So Project Warm has actually been in existence since 1982. So we're well into 40 years here, 4 decades as a nonprofit 501c3. And we are mostly have been known for two major programs, which has been sort of our bread and butter here at Project Warm. And that is our annual Blitz event that we do every late fall, early winter, usually the first 2 Saturdays in November, where we send out volunteer teams throughout the whole community to help winterize homes. And a lot of times that is known as putting plastic over the windows and putting little caulking strips and pieces so that the windows are secure, and making sure that usually the vulnerable populations we're talking about, older adults and disabled citizens, are going to be comfortable with their homes, are going to stay warm, but also keep the energy bills down so that they're not letting air sneak in and out and keeping those LG&E utility bills at a lower cost for them. So it is definitely an important program. It's been around with us for 4 decades. So that is the annual Blitz event. The other program that has been another signature program for us for years is our First Line services. And First Line is sort of similar to the weatherization Blitz program, but more so it does more detailed work and more focus on ensuring that the windows and doors are truly intact, and making sure that there is appropriate insulation, weather stripping around, door sweeps on the doors, ensuring that there are any cracks or damage or any kind of things that are done to obstruct the windows or doors that they can actually be fixed or potentially replaced. And we usually have a we actually have a steady staff person where that's his duties. And most time it's done on Tuesday and Wednesdays. And he goes out with a core group of volunteers for that. So First Line as well as the Blitz are two of our signature programs that a Project Warm has lived on as a legacy for many years. We do have a newer program, but I'll quickly share something about that came forth about 2 years ago, and that is called our Healthy Homes program. Healthy Homes program is a HUD program, and HUD, if you don't know, is the Urban Development Housing Urban Development Program, where it's a grant funded, where we were awarded $2 million to do additional home modifications repairs. And this is earmarked for 3 zip codes right now: 402, 10, 11, and 12, which represents West Louisville. In this particular area of town, we're able to help with roofs, help out with broken steps, maybe help remodel a kitchen or bathroom that may be more accessible for someone, or even build a wheelchair ramp. So it's an exciting program that we're 2 years into. We got another year left, and we're hoping to one day expand it to other zip code and neighborhoods in our city. So that is called Healthy Homes. So just want to share a little bit about those 3 major programs with you. So those that don't know us, you have a little more idea of who we are, and we really appreciate it. So as we could tell, it's pretty muggy out there. I know we had a lot of crazy storms last night. The lights are out around the city. Some trees are down everywhere, somewhere, but it is still hot and humid, and definitely summertime in our city. So part of the beginning of our workshop webinar today is we're going to talk about summer tips and things about being sure that you're comfortable, but you're doing things within your home or even your own lifestyle that keeps you safe and comfortable, and it's not outpricing you, but you're also staying healthy too. So one of the things we want to make sure is that heat, while it may be nice to be warm and stuff like that, but heat is actually pretty dangerous. And it actually, heat stress and humidity and all that can be one of the leading causes of weather-related deaths that can happen to people, in particular vulnerable populations like older adults and very infant, toddler, young age kids. So extreme heat can cause a lot of important things like heat exhaustion. It can be heat stroke, even symptoms underlying health conditions that can even be much worse. Our bodies can help regulate temperature, but if the heat and the humidity is kicking up, it makes it a lot harder to do so. So we start to sweat a lot. As we get hotter, we feel weak, we get faint, and our body doesn't always respond. But there are 2 major signs of summer heat that can impact us. There's heat exhaustion, and then there's also heat stroke. And I want to make sure that we understand the difference between the two. So heat exhaustion is preventable, but can quickly turn into heat stroke. And if not taken seriously, it can be a lot worse. Knowing what to look out for and making sure you know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about these and some things to keep in mind. First, if you got cool, damp skin, and if you're getting excessive sweating, and if you feel dizziness or faint, or even fatigue, your muscles get weak and they cramp up, you get nauseousness, headaches, and low blood pressure, you are probably feeling what's called heat exhaustion. Now, heat stroke is where the body temperature really kicks up a bit and it gets even more serious. Your temperature can hit like 104 degrees or even higher. Your behavior dramatically change, your mental state. You get very confused, disoriented, very agitated. You may get slurred speech. Your skin will get red, get rapid breath, your heart rate races, and you also get continuously headaches. So you can see that is a much worse situation. We want to do stuff to help avoid that so that you can stay healthy and not becoming those extreme things. And besides older adults, in particular, we're talking about those who are 65 and older, we're also very worried about children, particularly children that are 4 and under, because they are also a very vulnerable population to this and could be a high risk of that. So you have to take extra caution on that. So some key things that we try to talk about, we call it our 7 basic tips of how to beat the heat, particularly when it comes to heat stroke and also heat exhaustion. They're very basic things, but they're very important things that we kind of don't realize it, but it will help us out tremendously. So number 1 is to stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. So what that means is you should be drinking lots of liquids and fluids as your body needs refuel. And I see one of our persons, Miss Carol, took a drink of water. So thank you, Miss Sutton, for doing that. But the important thing about this is that you really need to drink mostly water. Soft drinks are not the right thing to do. A lot of alcohol is not a lot of good things to do because the sugar and other things in those other drinks, while it may be a liquid or a fluid to you, they're not the ones that's actually putting minerals, ingredients, and keeping yourself safe and comfortable. So you need to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day. And I'd say probably more than that, especially on these hotter days. So be sure to drink lots of good water. Number two, you should wear light color, loose fitting clothing. So like you can see me today, I'm wearing this white shirt. White shirts, tan, beige, light color clothing is very ideal. If you're wearing very dark clothing like black, navy blue, dark brown, they're going to absorb the heat and it's going to soak it all in and track it. So first of all, wear lighter color clothing. Also wear thinner material, like those dry net clothing, I also call them like swim shirts, or you see those runners or soccer players wear those really light, thin, dry net attire. They're going to keep you much more comfortable, cooler, and are also going to help out with absorption of water, or sweat, so you're not having that. If you're wearing heavy cotton or heavy layer clothing, it's only going to help make your situation worse. Number three is stay in the shade. So it's very important to be in a covered area, maybe a patio or porch area that's got an overhang on it. Also try to be under a tree or some other barrier so that you're kind of comfortable in the shade. So try to stay in the shade. You would be amazed that between being out in the sun and in the shade, you will see a difference of every bit of about 10 degrees sometimes in the way the heat feels. Next one is please take breaks. I know a lot of us want to do yard work or tackle things like that. And if you do those things, make sure you take breaks. Don't push yourself 2-3 hours. You need to do it for 1 hour. Go out there, come on in, cool off, be comfortable, and then go back out there and do it again. Don't over push yourself or overstimulate yourself. If you need to do it in small intervals, no problem. It's the best thing to do. Next is number 5. Use fans to free air movement. I know we're tempted with air conditioning and cranking up those things, and we're going to talk a little bit more how if you overuse air conditioning or other artificial things like that to generate the circulation of air, it's only going to cost your utility bills, and actually it only covers a certain part. So use a fan like a box fan or something to open up your windows to create a fan ventilation that way, or just use a standard fan to fan off yourself with a period of time so you stay cool. Number 6 is, I know it's tempting on this, is eat lighter meals and limit your oven use. So when I mean lighter meals, I know that people may love their meatloaf and their chili and big pot roasts and stuff like that. That is something you should probably have at a different season, particular winter or during the colder months and stuff like that. Probably the most ideal thing is to have is like like a summer salad, something that's kind of light and healthy. And in that case, that's going to help you out so much more. And eat a lot of fruit, because those are the type of things that you need to have for the light meals and stuff like that too. And you also heard me say about oven use. So if you use your stove or oven or your microwave, that's going to put off a lot of heat, a lot of power in your homes. So try to make meal preps that are easy to use. It's not using a lot of electrical stuff and cranking up the oven or stove. If you go into the kitchen after using the oven and stove, you'll know that your kitchen is much more hotter from the usage and stuff. So please cut down on oven use and stove use for that. And finally is limit your activities. I know we're tempted to get outside and exercise, but you need to go out. There are 2 times in a day that's very important to do that. The early morning, like before the sun gets really high in the air. So probably between 6 and 9 a.m., maybe no later, 9:30. Get outside, do what you need to do, and then go back later in the evening, maybe about 7 o'clock till it gets dark about 9:30. Those are the 2 earmarked periods of time where it's definitely going to be much more comfortable in the heat as the sun is not up high in the air, so that it makes things a lot worse. So these are 7 basic tips that we say beat the heat with. While it may not directly deal with your home, we also want to present these to you today in a webinar as ways to help you personally, and they're very easy to do. They're practical, personal tips. And while we've been doing these workshops in the community, we've done about 10 of them throughout the city of Louisville for the last 2 or 3 months. We've included a lot of these tips on a handout, but also on a cute little bookmark, which I'm showing up to you now. The bookmark has all 7 tips, which we've been handing out at our at different workshop sessions with important information. So if you ever want to attend one of these or like to have a bookmark with these safety tips and important tips on it, you can always email or reach out to me personally. And I believe that Sarah will have my contact information on it, and we'll be sure to give you one of those. So it'll help you out. And it's a friendly reminder because we don't want you to forget the 7 basic tips. Now, as we move a little more focus into the home, because this was stuff that we do personally, the other promotional piece that we've been putting out while we've done these workshop sessions is the magnet. And this magnet I'm now showing up to you shows you some other helpful tips. These are some household tips that you can do in your own home that's going to help make your home more weatherized and cut down on summer things as well, too. These things are very basic, but once again, they're very important and things that we try to promote when we go to do our first line work or when we do our workshop sessions with Project Warm. So it's a magnet because these are very good things to put on a refrigerator or some kind of appliance item like a dishwasher so that you can refer to it and look at it as a helpful tool. So the first thing on this home checklist to help keep you comfortable, and really something that we all should do twice a year, is a carbon monoxide or a fire alarm. I would highly encourage everybody to get a carbon monoxide detector for their home. This will help you realize how healthy your home is. I know it's an item that may cost a bit of money. You may need to go to Target or Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever to get this thing, but a carbon monoxide detector is essential to let you know about the quality of air that is going on in your home. It will help you understand about your breathing abilities and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have a carbon monoxide detector, I highly recommend you to get that. The other important thing is, and I think many of us forget about this, is the fire alarms or smoke detectors in our home. We should have at least a couple of them throughout the house. Some, and if you got upstairs or downstairs level house, definitely have them in different areas like that. But smoke detectors are essential. They keep you safe, but they also give you a heads up if there is some kind of alarm or great concern going on of some fire potential hazard. Now, with a fire alarm, we may not realize this, but 2 times a year, we should make sure the smoke alarms are working and in good condition. Most of them are battery operated. I know there's some new fancier model ones out there, but as a golden rule, as I tell people with a smoke alarm, is the 2 times a year you should change it is in the spring and in the fall. And the best way to remember that is during daylight savings. So when you turn your clock forward and when you turn your clock back, whether it's fall or spring, that is the best time to also remember to yourself, it's probably best to check on the smoke detector and make sure the battery is workable or needs to be changed out so you can have that. So it's a very important basic tool, but it's something that's going to help you be careful in your home. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is your dishwasher and your dryer vents. So your dishwasher, it's very important you clean the filter if you use a dishwasher. And I know many of us are spoiled and want to use a mechanical electronic dishwasher. And if you do it, you need to make sure that filter is clean. Now, realistically, if you're able to, it's better to hand wash your dishes because a dishwashing machine uses a lot of energy and a lot of different components to make it run. So you should definitely, like the stove, use that least or less during the summer months as well too. Now your dryer vent is so important. You need to make sure that it's clean and the hose that goes out with all the different things when it blows, it gets clogged up. Be sure to clean that because one, it puts much more pressure and work on it to be workable, but more so it can create a fire hazard. If the thing gets backed up or clogged, it can become a real hazard and could potentially hurt your home and all your belongings. The next thing we're going to talk about is your thermostat in your home. I know when it's hot, you want to crank it down and turn on the AC and get it lower. And then, of course, during the winter months, you want to crank it up because you're cold and you want to be warm. But realistically, you should keep it at about the same temperature all year round and basically dress appropriately and wear the right type of clothing in your home so that you can adapt to it. Most thermostats need to be right at about 69 or 70 degrees and need to be maintained there. If you start cranking it up and down and moving it, you're only going to create your system to work harder and work more. And then as the air goes up and down for the temperature gauge, it's only going to create a lot more problems and work for you. So if it's really cold outside and you're cold inside, wear sweatshirts or have an extra blanket or two on your couch or your bed so you're comfortable. If it's summertime, maybe dress down in lighter clothing, as we had mentioned earlier, t-shirt, light wear, so that you're cooler, but you're not overdoing it. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you keep moving your thermostat too much, it's going to cost you more money and put a lot more work on the system. Other thing we may not realize, and I know it's another thing you've got a budget for, is your HVAC system. You need to have somebody come out and check your furnace and all that once a year, usually make sure it's got a service tune-up and stuff like that to make sure the unit is working and doing all right. It might need a cleaning or flushing or whatever. But if you pay that much money for this thing to last and help you with your home, if you don't have it, it's kind of like your lawnmower. You've got to kind of bring it in for spring cleaning. It needs a little tune-up. So it's kind of a small cost that will allow your system to last a much longer time. So I can't emphasize enough about having an HVAC service checkup. It's kind of like going to the doctor each year. You need to go get a physical, make sure you're doing all right. So please make sure you can do that. I know a lot of groups. I have Algeier Air. It comes out and checks ours. It's a $99 flat fee, but it allows me to know sure that my unit is working for the year. So you can check out on that as well. Well, I hope that these helpful tips were good for you in this magnet I shared with you today. If you're interested in this magnet, like the bookmark, I'm more than happy to get these to you, or you're welcome to come to one of our workshop sessions on that. We're going to now turn more attention to really one of the big focuses here at Project Warm. It's been something we've been really focusing on really the entire 4 decades of our existence. And I know that Sarah had mentioned it to you as well. It's about weatherization. And I want to make sure everybody fully understands what weatherization is and what it entails. Because weatherization is such an essential thing, particular to your home, whether you're in an apartment, a condo, a house. Weatherization is making sure that your home is sealed and that the conditioned air stays inside, and then the outdoor air stays outside. And it's not something that's easy to do. And there are tips for easy things that you can do personally without putting a lot of money and time in there. The main goal is to stop the uncontrolled air leaks. You would be amazed at how much around your windows and doors. And I honestly challenge you to go to your window or doors, flick your fingers like this, and then put it up against around the cracks or around the parts, and you will feel the air coming through. And if it's coming through at a certain level, you know that there is a problem or something that needs to be tackled or addressed on that. So insulation of those things is essential. Even the small, thin parts of insulation you can do is going to help you out tremendously. So why should you spend this much time and be worried and focus on weatherization and why it's so important? Well, I mean, there's a lot of important reasons for that. One of the most important reasons is it's the comfort you can feel. You'll feel immediate impact if you take these tips and techniques, which we're about ready to dive into. First, the drafts around the windows and doors can make the temperature in your rooms of your home uneven. I live actually in a tri-level house, and I can be frank and honest with you that from upstairs to downstairs, there is a significant difference, sometimes as much as 10 or 15 degrees. One is the reason is the house is built a certain way where the levels kind of go down in a step-by-step manner. but also I need to do things in my home to ensure that why the air difference and the temperature difference is having an impact on my home. What can I do to help make that not be as so divisive or different? So you do need to do appropriate air sealing. You can do a conditional air stays where it belongs, and it can help steady the temperature in that. Second thing of important is why you should do weatherization is you can help lower your utility bills. If you do these things to your windows and doors, when you get your next LG&E utility bill, you'll see a huge impact or difference on it. Some bills as much as $100, but most people we've noticed between $30 and $40 is the average on your utility bill just by taking simple measures. And if you add that over a month-to-month basis, that could become a huge amount of savings. The next important thing about weatherization is the third big factor is durability and indoor air quality. If you're ensuring that your windows and doors are in good shape, the breathing of your air, the less asthma, the less uncomfortable breathing you'll have, it will help reduce the moisture intrusion and also help so that the air quality is better for you so you're not getting sick or having unhealthy conditions, which I know the Ohio Valley is not the best place in the world for that, but if we can help out with that, why not do the things you can do to do that? So what weatherization can you do? Project Warm is proud to kind of support or endorse these ideas. First of all is your attic, wall, or floor insulation. You need to make sure that the insulation between the walls, particularly your attic, and the flooring itself is good. If you have good insulation, it's only going to help you with your home. Second thing is caulking and weather stripping around the windows and doors. So that means the outer edges, you can probably see there's a Rubbermaid or some kind of other material that goes around it. If that is rotting away or it's eroded, then it probably needs to be repaired or replaced. The next thing is air sealing needs to be done to help reduce drafts and the heat loss. If you're able to do that, it's another huge impact with the weatherization of your home. This also could include duct sealing and other forms of insulation. Also, make sure your heating system is inspected and it's repaired or replaced. These are also critical. And as I mentioned earlier, I cannot emphasize enough about your smoke alarms and your carbon monoxide detectors. Please make sure that they are well too. And the other important thing is I highly encourage, and I didn't get an endorsement from the light bulb company, but if you use energy sufficient light bulbs like the one I'm showing here, you'll see a huge impact on that. They put out less watts and they allow you to have enough light. And these bulbs actually last a lot longer time too. So here's an example of a 60-watt LED bulb, which we highly recommend for people to put in their desk lights or other things like that. So hopefully those are good weatherization tips for you to help you out with that. Some other things I'm going to dive into a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about a few other things that you can take advantage of with weatherization. So the other important thing is your filter. Your filter with your unit that you have probably in your basement or behind a closet or some other area like that, the one that puts the hot and cold water, cold air out, you need to change your air filter. They say 1 to 3 months. I say you'll know your unit better than I do. If it's an older model, it probably needs to be a change on a monthly basis. If you're using it a lot, definitely every month. Even if you buy the 3-month filter, and I know they do create these 3-month long filters, check on it periodically. If you see that it's gotten very filled, it's got a lot of material in it, it looks very dirty looking, then you probably need to change it. Currently in my house, I'm changing our air filter about every 1 to 2 months. So I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're not changing your air filter, it also can create a fire hazard, but more so, it puts a lot more wear and tear on your unit machine, and you'll end up having to get it fixed or replaced. The other thing is your water heater in your house. You can wrap it. I would encourage you can do it with insulated blankets to keep the water in your tank warm and help reduce energy loss during the water heating process. Uninsulated water heater tanks are those valued at less than R24 lose heat and become less efficient. So wrap your water heater to ensure that it's in good shape. The other thing you can do for weatherization for your home is help install a door sweep. So door sweep goes on the bottom of the exterior door. It's kind of like a little metal piece that goes across. It creates a tight seal and helps allow the drafty air not to come in particular the cold and moisture. You can get these type of things at a local hardware store, but it's a very cheap, inexpensive, and will help out with the bottom of your door, but that crack that allows it to leak in. Also feel for air. I mentioned about licking your finger and going around your windows and doors. Your electric light sockets and your switch sockets. You will be amazed if you go up there and hold your finger by there, you will also feel air come in and out. So we have been able to create these little insulated styrofoam pieces that you put behind the plate of your electric socket or your switch there. And believe it or not, those little styrofoam pieces that go in between the plate and the inner wall can save you between $2 and $3 a month and help cut down on your air. And near the end of the program, I'll show you exactly what they are. They're very easy to get, and they will save you quite a bit. And these, like I said, seal your switches on all that kind of stuff like that. So I do hope that a lot of these tips and information were helpful to you. I will say that this webinar was very timely for this because tomorrow we're actually doing a workshop session at one of our sites that we've partnered with. It'll be the last one a year, and it is going to be held at the Ujima Neighborhood Place. And I hope a little flyer for you so you can see this, and I'm hoping that Sarah can share this out. But it is a free energy workshop session. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and it's going to take place at the Ujima Neighborhood Place, which is over in the Park Duval area, located at 3610 Bone Avenue, and it's a 40211 zip code area. So everybody who attends this workshop session will have a chance to get a free weatherization kit. The weatherization kit that we'll be providing to you can be used both during the summer as well as the winter. It has double value to it. And I'll be showing you here some of the things that are going to be involved with the weatherization kit so you can be encouraged to come. One of the things that you will get, as I mentioned to you earlier, is our free LED light bulb. So all the attendees to the workshop will be getting a free light bulb or two for that. The next thing I'm going to show you is everybody gets a big roll of plastic. You can look up in the screen. There's a big roll of plastic, which is often used on over your windows. It creates a greenhouse effect. And this big roll can do up to about 8 windows in a home. Also in the kit bag, you will be getting a roll of good tape. This roll of tape is a very thick kind of tape that helps insulate the plastic that goes onto the walls and part of the windows and helps secure it as well too. Before you do any of that, you also get this tubing here, which is used for I was talking about the stripping around the windows. If you do have large cracks or little holes in there, this little styrofoam tubing, as my daughter used to say, it reminds her of like a snake or a worm, but this little tubing is perfectly put around the edges of the window so that it can kind of help clear the leakage there and help fill in where this is. And then the other practical thing we do besides a tubing is what we call rope caulk. And it kind of reminds me, my daughter used to say, it reminds her of like Play-Doh or clay. And this rope caulk is like putty. It's used in to help plug in some of the holes and patches, which also helps out tremendously with cutting down on the air that is going in and out of a home too. So obviously the rope caulk and the styrofoam tubing that I showed you both up here, these are two of the most practical things you use right away before you do any weatherization to your windows with the plastic that I showed you. But everybody who attends tomorrow's workshop will have the chance to get one of these kit bags. These kit bags will help you out tremendously, and these materials will help make sure your home is weatherized and energy efficient. I will go ahead and give you some other dates if it's okay. We do have some other workshops planned coming up this fall or winter. We've had a lot of groups reached out to us about it. So I want to be sure that if you can't make tomorrow's session, there's a couple others coming up. And most of these will be happening between September and November. The next one that we're going to be doing is going to be on September 30th, and it's going to be in partnership with our Green Leaves Adult Day Center. For those who don't know, Green Leaves is located over in St. Matthews, actually right next door to Trinity High School, where all my boys went to. And they'll be doing a workshop session that morning from 10 to 12 on September 30th. The next one we'll be doing will be October 7th at Rutherford Elementary School. We'll be doing that in the evening between 5 and 7. The one after that will be on October 14th, and this will be at the West Louisville Elevation Student Learning Center. It's a new partner this year. It's located on the West Broadway corridor, and that will also be an evening program from 5 to 7. On October 15th, we'll be reaching out to one of our best partners we've had for almost 20 years, and that's the Cabbage Patch. The Cabbage Patch home is located in Old Louisville, over near Central Park area. We'll be doing a workshop session on October 15th in the evening at the Cabbage Patch from 5 to 7 too. Moving into November, we'll be doing one on November 18th in McFerrin Elementary. Many of y'all may know that is over by the 8th Street and the Algonquin area. McFerrin Elementary has been a great partner with us too. And they're near also the neighborhood place, Bridges of Hope, if you want to use that as a landmark as well. And then we'll wrap up on November 20th at the Catholic Enrichment Center. This is also located on the West Broadway corridor, kind of going towards Shawnee. And I'm sure we'll have about 4 or 5 more before the end of the year. But I wanted to be sure that if you could make any of those are opportunities for you to get a weatherization kit. And more importantly, Stephen or myself and Stephen Given, who's our director here at Project Warm, the two of us go out in the community and we actually demonstrate of how to put the plastic up on the window, how to do all the techniques and tips, ensure that everybody knows how to do it. And if you can't make the physical workshops, so watch us how to demonstrate how to do a window. We do a video clip. And we will send that out as a video clip so you and other people in the community can have awareness and ability to be able to do that. We want to make it easy as possible for everybody to be able to keep their energy bills down, utility bills down, and also be able to stay comfortable in their home during the seasons. So I do really appreciate all of this are helpful. I think I saw something pop up in the chat here in a minute, Sarah, and maybe you can help me catch some of the things that I might miss here. But I do want to save the last 10, 15 minutes here if anybody has any questions or is interested in some other things about Project Warm or other programming. I certainly appreciate everyone's patience with us with the struggles we had earlier getting this going, and then both Sarah and Tony guiding us on this. So thank you all for the webinar and being able to be a part of this. And if anybody has any questions or wants to chime in, I'm certainly open to that.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris. And again, our apologies for the technical difficulties that we had earlier. This has been a great webinar filled with a lot of great information. Somebody had asked if we can send out the flyers for the events and the different information you presented on today. So I'll be sure to follow up with everybody after the call, not only with the recording for this webinar, but the flyers and dates and times for those energy workshops as well. I did want to start off the Q&A session with a question of my own. So I know that there are a lot of people or a lot of homes in Louisville that were built pre-1960. And so I know those are harder to heat and harder to cool and need a lot of weatherization services. It's a two-part question. Is that open to homeowners and renters alike? And if there are any barriers to renters to get weatherization services, and how can people contact you to get those services?
Great question, Sarah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, if it's an older home, it does obviously have some more obstacles to it. I think an older home is great, has a lot of history, a lot of memories to it, but obviously being built at a certain time frame, it requires additional things to it. So certainly we do offer some tips and guidelines for that. But your question in particular about whether it's a rental home or a home property that it's owned by the homeowner, our Project Warm does both rental properties and also home ownership properties. And in particular with our first line service as well as our Blitz program, the two of those do not hold any barriers with renters, which I think is an important thing because, a lot of people are in a certain income bracket and maybe they're not ready to own their own home at this time, but we want to be sure that their home that they're renting is not costing them out of their lifestyle and stuff. So we do have to work with the landlord. If we do get a rental property, we need to make sure we have verbal or written consent. There's a certain letter document that we send to those people. And then I would say 90% of the time, most renters are going to be on board because it's going to save them money. It's going to enhance the value of their home or their property that they're renting. So absolutely. And I think it's a very good point. I do want to emphasize, I'm glad you brought this up, the first line program that I was sharing with you all earlier not only includes Louisville, Jefferson County, but that is a unique program because it includes 5 surrounding counties besides Jefferson County. Now, unfortunately, these are only in Kentucky. I love our Southern Indiana friends, but unfortunately, we don't do anything over in Southern Indiana. But the 5 other counties that we do weatherization first line work include Oldham, Bullitt, Shelby, Trimble, and Spencer. So I will repeat those again because I went through them kind of fast. Oldham, Bullitt, Trimble, Spencer, and Shelby counties. All 5 of those counties border Jefferson County, and we only get maybe about 5 or 10% of our participants or clients from there, but we do not want to ignore those communities. And a lot of them do not have a Project Warm program in those outer counties. And we find it essential that they also need to tap into our services too.
Thank you. Um, does anybody have any questions for Chris?
I might bring up, I'm Chris's dad, and
Mhm.
Chris got into doing Project Warm many, many years ago when he was in high school. And I went out with the teams with Project Warm. And so it's a great sort of evolution to see how he has come back to Project Warm. And one of the great things is the Blitz, and I think that's coming up in November, where teams are recruited to go out all over the city usually over 2 weekends. So, Chris, why don't you, if you can, expand on that? Because the key is to getting a bunch of volunteers, not only adults, but high school kids who can get some community service that way.
Well,
Chris?
thank you. Thank you, Dad. I didn't pay you to say all that, but I appreciate that. But I love you to death because actually you got me involved with this when I was in high school. Matter of fact, I think I was, in the Beta Club and National Honor Society, and of course, like all things, I need to do service hours. So I was embedded with Project Warm when I was probably 16, 17 years old, and I know you did it through, and you still do it with your good buddy Bill Bowman, are probably 2 of our longest volunteers we've had here at Project Warm for almost 40 years through Bardstown Road Presbyterian Church. So, and that's a perfect example of a wonderful Blitz team or volunteer team that does that. But it's amazing to see that through these 4 decades, I started out as a high school volunteer. Later on, I became a champion leading teams through my different work environments, whether I was at Catholic Charities, when I was at Humana, or even in Metro government when I worked there for 8 years. I always try to work hard to lead a team of individuals to help us every year annually for the Blitz event. And then sure enough, here I am as a staff person, and I'll be celebrating 2 years in September with this wonderful, really one of a kind, unique organization. But thank you for doing a plug. It seems like the winter season, the fall season's far off right now, but believe it or not, it'll be here before we know it. And we know that with a lot of uncertainty, with a lot of our vulnerable populations, particularly our older adults, a lot of people on very fixed incomes, maybe grandparents raising grandkids in a home, they are the ones that essentially going to need the Blitz support and assistance. And this year, we are raising the bar to help out that community because we know they're a very vulnerable population and we know a lot of people are in economic situations. So normally we try to earmark about 100 participants, and these are clients I'm referring to, with the Blitz. Between Stephen and I, and we know the need is great, we're raising that bar to about 150 individuals this year we want to help out. So we're doing 1.5 times larger impact here to try to make a difference in as many people's lives. And we're going to be trying to do that on 2 set dates. And I'll be sending this flyer out to Sarah and the MHC crew to pass around. But November 7th and 14th are the 2 actual dates for this year's Blitz. And those are both Saturdays, first 2 Saturdays in November, which has been a long tradition here at Project Warm. Usually starts about 9 a.m., takes about 3 or 4 hours for a team. And usually they're assigned 1 or 2 projects, depending on the magnitude of work. Some can have as many as 10 or 12 windows. So depending on the size of the team and the skill set, we'll be sending out a team to help do this weatherization with the Blitz event. Now, a team usually consists of about 3 to 6 people. I will be honest with you, an even number team is always best. So 4 or 6 is very ideal. The reason for that is usually it takes 2 people to work on a window together. Someone is holding it or measuring it while the other one helps tape it or secure it. You can do it with an odd number, but boy, life is so much easier if you got 2 people working on a window at a time. And many of y'all may know some of the windows that we work with and some of the homes, and this kind of goes back to what Sarah said, some of the older homes, particularly in the Shawnee and the Portland area, you got windows that are probably anywhere between 10 and 12 feet length. They are huge windows, and they definitely require maybe a step ladder or some other mechanism to do it. So, and that's another benefit that we do provide. We do also try to provide step ladders or things that help make the process easier. But our minimum age requirement for the Blitz is 14 years of age. So this is definitely an ideal high school, college, and up. One of the best things I think is that it's a great family bonding thing. And I think my dad would concur here. We sometimes have 3 generations working together. So it's my dad, myself, and my 3 boys, my 3 sons. And we enjoy the bonding time of doing it and doing it as a service project, but also being together because we know we're making a huge impact on an older adult or disabled citizen's life to stay warm and comfortable during the winter season. I'd also would challenge civic groups or for-profit organizations or church or faith-based groups. It's a wonderful bonding thing. One thing that makes this volunteer experience really impactful is not only are you helping an older adult or disabled citizens be comfortable during winter season, you're doing social engagement. You're actually doing real work together, and you can actually see the impact that you're doing. And it's something that a lot of our groups come back every year, like my dad's church has done for many, many years, that they enjoy this bonding moment and working together. And it's a great team building thing as well, too. So thank you, Dad, for bringing that up. We're starting to recruit. We're going to push this heavy after Labor Day. We'll start client enrollment. So if you know of an individual that can benefit from Project Warm Blitz event, we will be rolling that out after Labor Day week. There will be a Jot form sign up link, and I'll be sure that Sarah and everybody else gets that link so you can identify individuals, in particular if they're a single older adult or as a parent that's dealing with maybe some children that has some disabilities in the household. This is a perfect opportunity for you to help them out. And then we'll also are heavily recruiting volunteer teams. So if we increase our client number up to 150, we need more volunteer teams. So normally we have 50 volunteer teams. We're looking at almost 70 to 75 volunteer teams. So that falls on my responsibility. And I want to make sure that we get every one of those 150 individuals or home people comfortable for this season. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I know we're almost out of time, but I know if there's anybody else has any other questions, I want to make sure. I did see someone wrote there, are there more Project Warm type organizations in the state? Project Warm is pretty unique. I know that a lot of some organizations, the community action groups, you might have heard of them, CAP, community, they do offer some. I believe there are some existing in Lexington and Fayette County, as well as in northern Kentucky. A lot of them are urbanized, or if they are like in Bowling Green or something like that, they're covering a western part of the state. So there are a few of them, but there's not a lot. Project Warm is very unique. It's its own 501c3 here. So there is not a lot of them that do that.
I'll also add a little similar to Project Warm, but more encompassing of the entire state is the Weatherization Assistance Program through the Kentucky Housing Corporation. So they also do weatherization updates on homes, but I think it's a little bit of a different process than what Project Warm goes through. Um, let's see.
And you know,
Any
Sarah, I was going to bring out, and I'm glad you brought that up because we are a part of a program called the Home Repair Network. And besides us, We Care, which is actually done through LG&E, they also do some weatherization work too. So a lot of times we're sharing back and forth, we're passing back and forth to each other on that. Also, New Directions Housing Corporation, Habitat for Humanity, we're all part of this home repair network. So if we can't handle something or do something, we try to pass it on to one of these other organizations, which I think it's been a wonderful thing that both Metro Government and Metro United Way has allowed us to collaborate and work together on.
Yes, thank you. Well, I know we are here right at time, so I just wanted to say thank you again to Chris for all of the helpful tips and all of the different programs that you will be doing over the next couple of months. I'll be sure to include that in our follow-up email after this call. I also wanted to give you an update about our next webinar. So this is a webinar series that MHC does on the fourth Tuesday of each month. Next Tuesday, which will be September 22nd at 1 p.m., we are going to be hosting a webinar all about data centers. I know that is a very hot topic right now. MHC just recently published a report on data centers and their effect on the community, entitled Protecting Our Community in the Age of Data Centers. And we will be expanding upon all the research from that report in that webinar. So in our follow-up email, we will put the link for that upcoming webinar on data centers, as well as thank you, Chris, for putting your contact information in the chat. So with that being said, thank you so much. I hope you all learned a lot today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Chris.